Welcome to a video on Dungeons & Dragons, because we're doing that now. Over the last year, my life has been usurped by the tabletop role-playing game known as D&D, and from DMing to playing to reading every little bit of source material I can, I think I've learned quite a bit. But when you go and check out videos on D&D, you often find content about how to be a better DM, how to create better encounters, create a story, finish a story. There isn't a ton of content out there about how to be a good player. Now, don't get me wrong, there are videos on how to multi-class, how to min-max, how to create broken characters that utilize feats to create the most damage and ruin encounters quickly. I'm talking about content that tells you how to be essentially a better person who is a better player. And by all that, I mean you want to enhance the time you have at the table for yourself and the people around you. And in my experience as playing and diving so deep into the world of DMing and actually sitting at a few tables, I just want to offer quick tips on how to be a better, more enjoyable player. The most important part of any adventure is the buy-in. If somehow you're able to get a group together and someone else has graciously offered to run the campaign, then you just need to buy in. I'm talking roleplay, lore dumps, backstories, being invested at the table, all of those things. Now, I'm not saying you need to write paragraphs about where your character came from and what their motivations are, or do an accent that's not that good, but I am saying that whatever information you do have, you should own and have some conviction behind it. And if you are going to have a little bit of information and your DM offers some backstory or an important NPC that is a part of your past, just take it and run with it. Don't all of a sudden start to say no, because that's going to take away from where the DM is trying to guide you. Odds are, if you trust in your DM and they know what they're doing, you're going to enjoy it. Not to mention, D&D, each session can be like 3 to 4 hours long, and at the end of it, you feel mentally exhausted from everything you've just partaken in. If you want that exhaustion to be replaced with a rewarding feeling, then it would help you to buy into the program. Take all of the time that you think about playing and multiply it by 3, and you basically have all the time that a DM puts into creating a story, only for you to do something completely different. It's got to be rewarding for them too, so when they see players buy into their story or get emotionally invested, it usually works out for everyone. All of this also allows you to have personal stake in the story. Nothing, if you're an adventurer, you chose to be an adventurer. Nothing is worse than when someone is like, my backstory is a baker and I just stay in town and bake. That does nothing for anyone. You're an adventurer who can cast spells. You're not going to sit at home baking. That's why, and I've said this before, the beginning of every campaign should start with session 0, a chance for you and your DM and other players to get to know each other and kind of understand what you want out of the story and where you feel like the dynamic is going to take you. If you show up to that session with some idea of what you want out of the story, that's going to help you further down the line, and it's also going to make you have personal stake in the story. And this goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. Avoid those players that are like loner type or like alpha wolf type players that just want to be by themselves and not be a part of an adventurer. Go do that at home, away from the table. You're ruining it for everyone. The next point is the ability to read the room. Understanding who you're playing with is actually a huge part of D&D. People come from all walks of life, and if someone is uncomfortable with role-playing, you have to understand that. But maybe over time, they'll learn to be interested in making big choices or doing accents. Basically, you have to give freedom to the people at the table to learn as they go. You also have to be careful to avoid the main character syndrome. You don't want to be the person at the table who's hogging all of the attention. A good check-in is to kind of ask yourself, have I been doing most of the talking? And offer up conversations to somebody else. But if you know that they, personally, are a shy person, don't bug them. Furthermore, reading the room also means not taking away from the table, right? Jokes are funny and there are definitely times for them, but when your DM is monologuing for the big bad or you're talking to an important NPC and they're giving you like important lore information, just interrupting takes away from the table. It takes people out of the story. Not to mention from a DM standpoint, I hate it. And if you're that person who runs into every NPC and just attacks them, stop. Sooner or later, you're going to pay for it, and your DM's not going to feel bad when you roll around a total party kill and it's your fault. Another tip that you can do away from the table to kind of enhance your experience is actually learn a little bit about improv. Improvising is half the fun in D&D. In a world where you can virtually do anything, coming up with things is a big part of it. That means everything from interactions with NPCs to handling an encounter in a creative way. Just learning to come up with things on the spot is an incredible skill, not only for D&D, but for life. And I would say, you don't have to pay for improv lessons, but you should probably watch improv, like Whose Line Is It Anyway, or people from Upright Citizens Brigade in New York. You just want to understand the idea of giving and taking and the principle of yes and. And I promise you it will lead to more memorable and funny moments in the future. Speaking of watching, the last tip I can give, watch D&D content. There is a ton of professional content out there like Critical Role, Dimension 20, where you can learn a lot about character interaction, chemistry, DMing, all of those wonderful things. Watching it actually helps you understand what you want and how you want to act at the table. But I will say with the caveat, a lot of professional content is with professional people, professional actors, comedians who know what they're doing and how to create chemistry and make the story continue to flow. You have to remember that they are also businesses that need to run and put up numbers. And while it looks like they're having fun, and they are, they're also thinking about how do we put the best episode together for this group of people. You don't want to go to a table and expect you're going to be playing with the next Emily Axford and then be disappointed when your monk only unarmed strikes over and over again. These tips are short and maybe a little intuitive, but I promise if you apply them, you will be invited back in the future. It'll also make you walk away from each session feeling fulfilled and creative, which, that's the point, right? To have fun. So, thanks for watching.